Welcome to RAFSAT Chord. This story doesn't rush, it waits, and then it strikes when you feel safest. Watch closely, some moments only make sense after everything is lost. At the beginning of the story, we meet a family. The husband's name is Ivan. The wife's name is Karen. They live happily with their child. Karen works at an art gallery. Ivan is an architect. One day, Ivan and Karen plan a beach trip with their child. But at the last moment, Ivan gets an urgent architectural project. He can't go with his family. And this is where the story quietly turns. A small decision that slowly becomes a big problem. Karen decides to go on the beach trip alone with the child. Ivan stays home with their dog. That night, Ivan is busy working on his project. Suddenly, the doorbell rings. When Ivan opens the door, he sees two girls standing in the rain. They're soaked. One introduces herself as Bella. The other is Genesis. They tell Ivan they were heading to a party. They got lost. Their phone stopped working because of the rain. To Ivan, it feels like a simple moment of help, nothing more. But danger has already slipped inside, quietly. Sometimes, the most dangerous things arrive in the most innocent moments. Ivan invites them inside. First, he gives them towels. Then he hands one of them his iPad so she can search for the party location. She checks the address. The party is far from there. It's gonna take 45 minutes to arrive. Ivan books a cab for them. But the situation is starting to feel strange, because they're completely drenched. The girls use Ivan's bathroom to freshen up. When they come back, Ivan is making coffee. They sit together and start talking. Ivan asks what they do for a living. They say they're flight attendants. They talk about how much they care for their passengers. Their words sound normal, but their body language feels uncomfortable. Then, they move closer to Ivan. They begin demonstrating their flight attendant routine. Slowly, it turns seductive. Ivan doesn't feel right about it. He stands up and moves to another chair. For the first time, Ivan clearly feels it. Something is very wrong. Ivan checks his phone. The cab will arrive in 20 minutes. Bella and Genesis ask about his wife. Ivan tells them Karen paints for an art gallery. He even shows them her artwork. Talking about his wife makes Ivan feel safe, grounded, stronger. As the conversation continues, the girls move even closer. Ivan keeps trying to ignore it. He checks his phone again. Only 5 minutes left for the cab. He feels a brief sense of relief. Their behavior hasn't been sitting right with him. But that relief doesn't last long. Just 2 minutes before the cab arrives, Bella and Genesis take advantage of Ivan stepping away and slip into the bathroom. Ivan dries their clothes and walks to the bathroom door. He tells them their clothes are ready. The cab has arrived. Inside, they're calmly showering, laughing, ignoring him. Even when Ivan repeats himself, they don't respond. Now, the situation is clearly slipping out of Ivan's control. When they don't come out, Ivan covers his eyes and steps into the bathroom to hand them their clothes. Inside, he realizes the girls are showering, naked. In that moment, Ivan clearly feels the situation slipping out of his control. Bella and Genesis tell him to join them. As they say it, they press closer to him. Ivan doesn't want this. He's married. He tries to ignore them, to pull away. His mind keeps warning him, but the pressure in the room keeps rising. And when they move far too close, Ivan gives in to the moment. What starts in the bathroom continues in the bedroom. Outside, the cab driver waits for a while, then leaves. The next morning, Ivan wakes up and doesn't see the girls. For a second, he thinks they've gone. Then he hears laughter coming from the kitchen. When he walks in, he sees the mess they've made. The kitchen is a disaster. Now Ivan understands. This wasn't just a one-night mistake. Just then, Karen's video call comes through. Ivan steps outside to talk to her. From here, Ivan's trouble begins to move in a darker direction. After the call, Ivan goes back inside. Angry, he tells them to get dressed and leave his house immediately. Then he sees them ruining Karen's artwork. That sight is unbearable for him. Furious, Ivan tells them he's calling the police. He warns them to leave now if they don't want to go to jail. Bella and Genesis start laughing. The confidence in their laughter shakes Ivan. They tell him they're underage. They remind him what happened last night. They say if he calls the police, he'll be the one arrested. Ivan realizes how big a mistake he made. Just then, the doorbell rings. Ivan opens the door and sees Vivian, Karen's friend. She's there to check if Ivan needs anything. Ivan panics, afraid she'll see Bella and Genesis inside. While they're talking, Genesis suddenly steps out and clings to Ivan. Ivan feels his truth is about to be exposed. Vivian misunderstands what she's seeing. The situation is clearly turning against Ivan. Vivian assumes Ivan is having an affair. Angry, she insults him and storms off. Her leaving only makes things worse. Enraged, Ivan finally calls the police for real. Seeing this, Bella and Genesis panic. They quickly agree to leave. In that moment of fear, Ivan believes this nightmare is finally ending. He drives them away and drops them near a house some distance away. Then he returns home. Inside, the house is trashed. Ivan starts cleaning. After that, he sits down to work. Suddenly, he hears something fall. A family photo lies on the floor. As Ivan bends down to pick it up, Genesis strikes him from behind with a fire extinguisher. Everything goes black. Here, the story takes a terrifying turn. Sometime later, Ivan wakes up. He finds himself tied to the bed with ropes. He screams at Genesis to untie him. Now, Ivan isn't just fighting the truth. He's fighting for his life. But Genesis doesn't listen to him. Then Bella walks in, wearing Ivan's daughter's school uniform. The sight shakes Ivan to his core. His fear multiplies. Together, they begin terrorizing him, pressuring him mentally, breaking him down. Ivan tries desperately to stop them. At that exact moment, Karen's video call flashes on Ivan's phone. Karen's call makes the situation far more dangerous. Genesis tells Ivan that if he doesn't do exactly what they say, they'll show everything to his wife, presenting it in the worst possible way. Forced by fear, Ivan gives in. Bella moves closer, frightening him him even more. Genesis starts recording everything. Now Ivan knows he's completely trapped. A little later, Genesis steps outside to grab something to eat. Ivan gathers all his strength. He manages to loosen the ropes. He pushes Bella, knocking her to the floor. Ivan rushes toward Genesis, who's eating outside. Suddenly, Genesis attacks him and knocks him unconscious again. Ivan's second attempt fails. After some time, when he regains consciousness, he finds himself tied to a chair. Bella and Genesis begin playing a dangerous mind game with him, a game meant to shatter his courage and his sanity. After a while, a man named Louis arrives. He works with Karen. He's there to collect a sculpture Karen made. Seeing this, Bella and Genesis hide Ivan in a room. They don't want his voice to be heard. Genesis opens the door. They tell Louis they're Ivan's relatives. They claim a thief broke into the house, and Ivan ran after him. Louis's eyes fall on Karen's artwork. It's badly damaged. Suspicion rises. Louis tells them Ivan doesn't have any relatives living here. Now Louis clearly feels something is seriously wrong. Suddenly, he hears Ivan screaming. Louis rushes into a room and sees Ivan tied up. He immediately starts untying him. Outside, Bella and Genesis begin destroying Karen's artwork. The pieces are expensive. Louis tries to stop them. That's when he suffers an asthma attack. Once again, everything spirals completely out of control. Louis's inhaler is with Genesis. He tries to reach for it. In that struggle, his foot slips. His head crashes hard into Karen's artwork. In just seconds, the situation turns fatal. Blood begins to pour from Louis's head. Moments later, he dies. Seeing Louis dead, Bella and Genesis start laughing as if it means nothing to them. Watching their cold reaction, Ivan understands the truth. As they laugh, Ivan realizes they're psychopaths. Bella and Genesis cover Louis's body with artwork. They load it into his own car. Then they come back inside. Using Louis's phone and Ivan's phone, they message each other, creating the illusion that Louis and Karen were having an affair. They plan it so it looks like Ivan found out and killed Louis in anger. Everything is now being staged to frame Ivan. After that, they dig a large pit in the backyard to bury Louis. Tied to the chair, Ivan desperately tries to call Karen, but Genesis and Bella arrive and stop him. Every escape route is slowly closing. They snatch the iPad from Ivan. They lash out in rage. Their anger fully turns into violence. They destroy the house completely. They cut Ivan's hair short. Inside the same room, Genesis finds Ivan's hidden gun. She tells Bella to untie Ivan's hands and legs. Now, the game becomes deadly. Genesis tells Ivan they're going to play hide and seek. If he's caught, he'll be shot. Ivan immediately starts hiding inside the house. Bella and Genesis hunt for him. Ivan tries to escape outside. Genesis catches him. Ivan screams for help. Genesis silences him at gunpoint. Fear now lives inside Ivan's breath. The scene shifts. Morning arrives. They drag Ivan to the pit. They bury him, leaving his head above the ground. They tell him they never wanted to kill him. They just wanted to use him for their game. For Ivan, this is the cruelest punishment. They tell him they're enjoying torturing him. Then Bella shows Ivan a video on his phone. That video becomes the strongest weapon against him. In it, Bella threatens him using footage Genesis recorded. They say they'll use it against him. Ivan is completely broken, but he refuses to give up. With immense effort, he pulls one hand free. He tries to delete the video. By mistake, he presses like instead. Hours later, Karen returns home with the children. Seeing the house destroyed, she's confused. She assumes Ivan must have thrown a wild party with friends after she left. The truth never comes out, and the story ends. By the end, it wasn't about winning or losing. It was about what the silence forced people to become. If you enjoy slow burn psychological thrillers like this, subscribe to RAFSAT. Some truths don't give closure. They just stay with you. What moment changed everything for you? Let me know in the comments.